You guys know that I talk about AI on my channel. I try and dabble in bits and pieces to try and educate myself on it. So I've not just got a split, this good, it's bad. Because there's pros and cons to everything. And in this video, I want to talk about AI music. It's starting to gain a bit of steam, with some people actually calling for some AI generated songs to be played on mainstream radio. Now, is this a good thing or a bad thing? And that's what I want to talk about today. I'm going to use the same disclaimer that I use in my Ginger Engine channel for this video. These are all my own personal opinions. Your thoughts will differ than mine. And let me know in the comments your thoughts about AI generated music. All I ask is that you keep it respectful. And above all, try and enjoy the video. So if anybody has been on my channel for a while, or is new to the channel and wondering why I'm talking about this, I'm going to give you my own personal history with it, and then we'll go into pros and cons. I used to be a singer. Not a great one, but I could hold a tune and won some medals in karaoke competitions. I also used to write poems, which could also be song lyrics. I always struggled with actually creating music. I did music at school, lasted to about 15, 16, but I stopped after that. It is something that I do regret now, but I just have to accept that time's rolled on and I don't do it anymore. But I kept writing poems, I kept singing, and I always wanted to kind of get those songs out there, but I didn't know how. And hiring studio time, musicians was quite a lot of money. And I started seeing adverts for Suno, an AI music generation platform. And I was coming up with one of my documentary videos. I wanted a song that kind of reflected something that we were doing at the time. I had a bit of a brainwave at 2 a.m, writing lyrics, wrote them, and thought, I'll try and experiment with a track on Suno. Put the lyrics in, put a brief description of what I wanted the song to sound like. It generated 2 options. The first option was really good. I really liked it. Downloaded it, put it onto the video, and a lot of people really enjoyed the track and asked me if I could release it on my own YouTube channel. And I did. And I never hid that the music was generated by Suno. The vocals weren't mine because I don't have as strong a voice as I used to, but the lyrics all came from me, and the idea of how I wanted the song to sound came from me. But it was an AI that generated. And the backlash and the abuse that I got was really shocking, to say the least. But because I got that abuse, I kind of doubled down and decided I'm going to keep getting these poems and the songs that I've wrote for years, get them out in the styles that I want to get them out, and released a little album, or should I say album, because no one believes it's a real album. But it's real to me. I was proud of the results, but again, the backlash just kept coming and coming and coming. And because I was in that tunnel vision, I kept doubling down, and eventually once it was all done, I took a step back and I had a bit of reflection on it, and now I don't know how to feel about it. I was proud that I got it out, but I didn't like the negativity surrounding it. It made me feel really self-conscious, really insecure, not my confidence. And it was like the second that the AI generated label came on, the music didn't matter anymore. It was just seen as trash or slop. But to me, I still was trying to justify it in my head. I mean, was it fair to dismiss the songwriting parts of it because I essentially hired a digital producer or a digital session band to make the music come alive for me? Because I did pay the subscription while I was doing it, so I could get as good results as I wanted to. And part of me wants to get the instrumentals of the songs that I know I could sing from that album, go to a studio and record the vocals properly, take back another bit of ownership of those songs so they feel more like my own. And it's my voice on it and not an AI generated voice. It would be totally imperfect and it would sound nowhere near as good, in my own opinion, but it would be my own voice. So I kind of left it at that. And then I saw a couple of interesting headlines. One of which was that an AI song had actually went #1 in the country music charts. Now, it's no surprise that some artists try and invade country music to get their own popularity up. Looking at you, Beyonce. But an AI-generated song hitting #1, again, caused a massive controversy around the whole artist-generated music debate. And because I also volunteer for a local radio station as a radio presenter, it made me think about a couple of things. The radio station's policy I work for is that they don't play AI-generated music, and I'm perfectly okay with following those rules. But that makes me wonder, will AI music start penetrating the mainstream as time goes on? So I'm going to go into the pros and I'm going to go into the cons of whether this could work or it couldn't work. And everybody loves to hear the cons first. So let's go into those cons. And the first one is the legal grey area. Trying to copyright AI-generated music is a mess. It's a minefield of who does the song belong to? Does it belong to the artist themselves? Does it belong to the company like Suno that generated the music and the vocals? But are those generated music and vocals plagiarized from real artists, from their real music? So you could be caught in a massive three-way standoff with no end in sight. Using my own example, I wrote the lyrics. I wrote them in a notepad or I wrote them on a Word document. So all those lyrics came from me. They came from my own brain. The idea of what I wanted the songs to sound like, they came from prompts that I input. No one else did. But the AI generated it. So could I realistically take those songs and bring them out mainstream? No, there would be huge legal complications. And it's why a lot of artists have to be careful if they are trying to bring out AI music into the mainstream. Because it's very easy to find out if someone generated it through AI on an app like Suno. And the second that happens, you're in trouble. Because it also leads to this point. The trust is gone. Creatives are an interesting paradox. I think that's my nice way of putting it. We've all got egos, we've all got a lot of problems, and we tend to hold grudges. The second that people found out my music was generated through AI, I lost a lot of respect in the creative industry and a lot of trust. It was wiped out literally overnight, to the point where people were actually going on forums for other projects that I was doing, for example, stand-up comedy, and saying, don't book this person. We can't trust that his comedy material hasn't been written by an AI because he generated, at the time, one song using Suno. And this kind of snowballed and spiraled. And it's why I went into such a rabbit in headlights mode of my stubbornness, because I felt like my credibility was being attacked. I was upfront and honest about my use of AI, and it quickly crucified me for every bit of content that I had done under the sun. A creative legacy that I had built up since I was 6 years old when I first went on a stage was wiped out. Now, over time, there's been a bit more damage control. So I now say that I use AI as a tool in a toolbox, and that it helps with what I can't do and not replace what I can already do. But the damage was done. And it took a lot of time to rebuild that trust. Some people still don't trust me. Some people still think that everything I do is AI slop. So you have to be very careful if you do use AI in any creative capacity. But it brings me back to the human element of creativity. And that's around the soul of radio. I think radio stations have always been a curator of talent. It was always where you wanted your songs to be played, to get mainstream exposure, recognition from your peers that you were a musician, a singer-songwriter, an artist. The mainstream for acting as well, TV. Everybody wants to be on TV so they can be seen as credible. So playing AI music on a mainstream radio station might feel like a betrayal of that trust that's been built up by radio stations. There's artists who spend years, decades on the grind, becoming better musicians, better singers, better songwriters to get to that point. And an AI can feel like a massive shortcut. Think about actors that work their whole lives trying to get a slither of recognition, and somebody makes a TikTok farting into a jar and all of a sudden makes £20,000. You'd feel a little bit pissed off as well. That's why I still don't like reality TV. I felt like reality TV was a massive betrayal of what I tried to do for years as an actor. People with zero talent and skill could just walk onto a set, act like a fanny, and then get millions and millions of pounds that had no real talent or skill in my eyes. It's the same way that people look at AI music or AI content now. But say you do generate an AI song and you get more positive reviews than negative, and that prompts you to start doing more. This leads to a massive ego trip. People who generate a song on AI, usually for the first time, put a lot of effort into the bits that they can do. Like I said, the lyrics, picking the right song, picking the right sound and vibe to generate it. And then if they get that little dopamine rush, they then start to get a bit more complacent and a bit lazy. Maybe they'll just type a prompt into the description for the song lyrics, and it generates lyrics. Instead of you going into those lyrics and editing them to make them sound more like your own voice, you just decide, that's good enough. You reuse the prompt that you had for your first track because first track sounded good, so the second track will sound the same. You hear your two options and think, first one's all right. And you start putting out multitudes of songs, way too many for consumers to catch up with. These are what are known as prompt engineers. They do these kind of things thinking that they have the same skill and expertise as someone who has spent years, if not decades, mastering the craft of music production, which can in turn lead to a lack of respect for said craft and then end up producing the AI slop that is currently oversaturating media right now. Because one of the things I say about AI is that the AI itself is not the abuser. It's the people abusing AI that are the problem. The people that are doing it lazily so they can just get a quick dopamine hit and feel like they are the king of the world. And that's wrong. That is you taking advantage of a software that could be used to help people rather than not. So I went through the cons, and you'll probably think, are there any pros to this process? But there are. And the key one is that it democratizes creativity. It allows people who don't really know about music production to be able to express their ideas, try a new art form, and experience a joy of creation. A prime example of this I take from my Ginger Engine days. A lot of people like to write Thomas and Friends fanfiction, and I do myself, because it lets you play and explore a world that you love and create different takes on characters that maybe were squandered in original franchise canon. Generating AI music is kind of similar. It can be seen as a love letter to real musicians, because most people who generate AI music, they aren't doing it to make millions and millions. They're not doing it to have it played on mainstream radio. Maybe secretly we'd all like that, but we do it because it's an outlet for us. A little passion project. Something that we can share with those nearest and dearest in the hope that we get a good job. So we're not actually trying to break down the gatekeeping barriers. We just want to have a bit of fun. Another big thing for AI generated music is the accessibility for it. It lowers that barrier of entry for creators. Now, a lot of people might think that that's a bad thing. What if you have a limited budget? What if you have physical or mental disabilities and you can't get to a recording studio? You can't hire musicians. You can't hire singers. You can't sing yourself. It creates a baseline for everyone where if you want to do it and just do something to make you happy, you don't need to worry about how am I going to save up hundreds and hundreds of pounds for studio time or hiring recording artists. If you're wanting to make music your career, then yeah, save the money and go to a recording studio. But if you just want to create something for yourself and be proud of your work, go down the AI route. It does make you feel better. And in times like this, we all deserve to feel happy. And finally, AI music generation can be a tool for inspiration. You could have an idea for a song. You've got a rough concept, but you're not entirely sure of what to do. You could go to Suno, for example, get that song generated. And if you like the sound of it and go, yeah, it's good, but I want to maybe take it in a different direction, you don't need to generate more prompts. You could take that sample to a real artist. They could listen to it, think it's good, and they in turn create a human version and evolve it into a real registered song. This is something that I do want to do with my own songs if the opportunity presents itself, making them real creations rather than just AI generated creations, where it's my own lyrics, my own vocals, and people who can play instruments. So should AI music be played in mainstream radio stations? The answer is not right now. There's too much heat around it, too much controversy, too many people having different opinions and not really finding a middle ground. The world is so divided right now. You're either right or you're wrong, and there's no way to work out compromise. But I hope through this video you've found what I might consider a middle ground. If not, I'm just going to tell you right now. My idea of having instrumentals of songs that I've generated through Suno and having my own handwritten lyrics and my own singing voice over them is probably the closest to a middle ground that we are going to get. Because a lot of artists are already doing that. Modern pop music produce digital samples, and then a singer will write their own lyrics and sing over those samples. And you never know how many of the mainstream songs are already using that. One of the key components for Suno's marketing was Timbaland using Suno to finish songs that he wanted to do in his own way. AI is being embraced. It's just not being brought out to mainstream because of all the controversy and the backlash around it. But would people really know the difference between an AI generated song and a genuine artist if you played them both back to back? I did an experiment on that with several family members and friends before I released Where the Wild Remains. I would play one of my favourite bands, and then afterwards that song would play, and the majority liked Where the Wild Remains better. And then when they asked, who did that? And I said, I generated it using Suno. That's when the worm turned. Up until I said that, they thought it was a brilliant song. So your listening ear actually can't tell the difference between a real artist and AI generated music. So this could be a middle ground going forward. So while AI generated music shouldn't make the mainstream right now, I have a feeling that it's going to do that at some point in the future. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this video. Thanks for watching and take care.